Hey guys, so today you and I are going to talk about low documentation and tribal knowledge. So let's get into it. So the question in question was, Frederick, can you make a video on how to deal with low documentation environments and tribal knowledge? Sometimes it feels like the only way to get any information is to ask for it. And the short answer is welcome to the jungle. This is exactly how it is. This is all of IT. You see those poor, naive people who think that a lot of documentation is really, really nice and we should really have a lot of documentations. They are a minority, and they're usually drowning in outdated articles and outdated documentation. That is like kind of, let's say it's half of the puzzle, or maybe say 60% to be fair, and then 40% exists in the heads of all the people working there. And the people who go is that have absolutely no documentation, they have about, well, if they're lucky, all of it is in one person's head and they're still working at that company. And most commonly, the collective knowledge of at least two people will be the full answer. Sometimes it's going to be like 80% of the answer because even they don't really know what that piece of code does, but 80% is enough for you to know about what you need in order to do the thing you want, and then you just trust that 20% you don't really know what's going on, like that's just gonna work, and cross your fingers. That's kind of it. And the thing, how to deal with this, well, you're gonna have to deal with it like every single person I know, and me included, has to deal with it. You need to have soft skills. There they are again. It's like, I mean, if I could trademark that, didn't come up with it, but I would be so happy if I got paid for saying soft skills, because that's I can just like play away on my one string banjo, because that's all I can say. Soft skills, soft skills, soft skills. That's all that ever matters. The thing that you can do to mitigate this, because the thing is, if you are in a company where there is low documentation and everything exists in the heads of everybody else, if you want to make a really cool move now and kind of give your boss like a hint, just like a little tingle that, oh, this person this person is management material. Oof. They might start thinking about you in an inappropriate way if you do this. Start identifying the key players. Now, when I say key players, I mean the people who are way too important for the company. And every company has usually one or two of these people. These are the sorts of people where if they go on vacation, have a kid, or anything like that where they're not like available, stuff goes wrong and nobody knows how to fix it. These people, those are the people you want to get in good with. Now, these people have a lot of very interesting domain knowledge, and what you're looking for is process knowledge. That's what you're looking for. You're not looking for their knowledge about, oh, they know that, oh, we have, I don't know, a user and there's a product and there's these fields and so forth and so forth. Unless like there are like really arcane things on the model that nobody really knows what the fuck that is about, and they know that. But usually what you're after is process information, how to do things. That's what you're after. So in every single company, even Google, we like to say that we automate all the things, but that's just not true. In pretty much all companies, with almost no exception, there are manual steps to do things. And some things you do all the time, and some things you almost never do. And the things that you do all the time is usually in one or two categories. You remember how to do it, like everybody kind of just, it's so simple that most people just organically just grasp that, oh yeah, we have this shell script, and if you just run it, it's going to deploy the system. Done. Nobody really needs to document that. It's very nice though if you have that script version controlled. That's very nice. Do that so it's not like on some person's laptop. But in many cases, it's the other case where you don't really remember how to do things. It's a little bit uncertain, and people don't like, they have to ask or so forth how to do certain things. And if you take the time now to get hold of these people who know these steps, because that's like the first tell you should look for is if somebody always does the thing. If, let's say in your operations, if it's one guy or one girl who always does the deployment, that's a red flag. That's a person that's too important, because they are the only ones now who's getting the practice in to do this stuff. And what you want is for them to be less critical, and you can do that in two ways. One is documentation. You should ideally document the steps, step by step. What are they doing? And that should be written down, and it should be maintained and updated so that people can actually follow along with this guide. Once this guide is made, you should ideally get a bit of rotation into the mix. You should suggest that if this is a common task that happens all the time, then maybe you shouldn't have one person doing it all the time. Maybe you should mix it up a little bit, so get some organic knowledge sharing. These are things that are very powerful and very useful. In some companies, your manager is going to be like, oh, but it's going to take longer, and this person knows it perfectly well. And you can always, in that scenario, play the card. Yes, at the beginning, but what do you want do you want us to close up shop when this person is sick? No, nobody's going to want to take that risk. So they're going to let you, most likely. The other version of this is, right, you have things that almost never happen, things that nobody ever does. Like an example would be, I don't know, update certificates, TLS certificates or something like that. That's not something you do all that often. It happens once in a while, and if you're not one of the trendiest automated companies in the world, you're most likely going to do that by yourself or in some manual process. And that is something that if there's like one person who knows that, and I've seen this 100 times, not for this specific thing, but for many different similar things where you have like half working APIs or stuff like that, where you had some guy has a script on his laptop with a API key he stored in like a local file for some custom integration he did, and he's the only person who knows how to fix a failed order or something like that. It happens, and you need to get the hell away from that as quickly as possible. Same procedure as with the frequent stuff. Put it in a step-by-step guide with clear links and references to the stuff, like to where you can find all the things that you need in order to do this procedure, like get through this process. Even if it's a name, even if it's like, oh, this is a contact person you need to call, or you need to email this and this person. Document these processes, because these processes are playbooks. They're practically playbooks for your company. And if you only have one star player who knows the playbook, you are in a risky position. And if you want to deal with that and get more stuff into documentation and stuff that actually matters, this is probably the best way for you to achieve that. So what I want you to take away from this is that most, and I'm very sorry to say this, most of IT, like all the domain knowledge of a system, quite a lot of it is in the heads of the people working in the company. You know that you're in a really bad spot as a company when you have one or two people who always does something that is fairly regular, like example, deploying stuff. That is a very bad situation. People just go along with it because nothing's broken, and that's how we are. We don't act if it's not critical. But if you want to deal with this sort of situation, you need to start pulling out these processes that these people just kind of have memorized how they do things, and put them in a documentation of some sort, so that there's a step-by-step guide that people can follow along with information to all the references and all the things they have to know. And then on top of that, if it's not possible to automate this, of course, if you can automate it, that's like the best thing, of course. But failing that, this is the next best step. And then make sure that there's a bit of rotation going so that more people get exposed, because it's like it's like everything. It's a skill. If you do it like once a year, you're not going to get good at it. If you do it once a week, then we're talking. Now you might start remembering things. I sure as hell need it. I forget things so easily if I don't do them on a consistent basis. Have a great day.